Vortex. Hi, I'm Jess. I'm saying it at the beginning of the video this time. I asked on my Facebook page whether you wanted to go over the Vortex or chest tubing this week, and I had 2 votes, both in favor of Vortex. So that's what we're gonna do. I admit I was a little bit nervous about doing this tutorial because there are lots of tutorials out there for the Vortex already, but I watched a lot of them in an effort to make sure I'm not just repeating what everyone else has said. So hopefully this adds something to your search to perfect the Vortex. First of all, on the off chance that you don't know what the Vortex is, it is this. It's basically a lift from the back and then bringing it back down without ever dropping it on your waist over and over and over again. It's a good idea to go and watch my lift video and get the hang of that back lift first, but if you're anything like I was when I was a beginner hooper, you're just gonna watch this video and try it anyway. Props to that. Learn how you learn. Don't let anybody tell you how you should and should not be learning things. One thing I noticed about how I do the Vortex versus how some of the tutorials I watch teach it, my hand positioning and where I grab the hoop at the top is a little bit different. So if you've been watching other tutorials and you notice mine is different, try out both of them. There's no wrong way to do it. Before we start, I'm gonna give you some drills! Should these tutorials be presented more like an action movie? Maybe, maybe not. This first one I cover in more detail in my timing video, which you could watch as well, but if not, just watch what I'm about to do. Get the hoop going around your waist in your dominant direction and then practice swooping your hand through the open spaces that form. I'm going to assume you are hooping to the left. If you hoop to the right, just switch the following directions. When the hoop is coming around your back, stick your left hand as far across your body as you can and then swoop it around in front of you. To practice this from behind, immediately before the hoop crosses your back, stick your right hand as far across the back of your body as possible and swoop that hand around and in front. This will give you an idea of how quickly you need to move your arms when you're actually pulling off the Vortex. Swooping is the key. When you lift and drop the hoop for the Vortex, your hand isn't going to be going straight up and down. It is going to be turning to match the momentum of the hoop. Turning in the same direction as the hoop while you're doing the move also helps, so go ahead and practice these swoops while you are turning with the hoop. Next drill, hand stalls. This one will get you kind of dizzy, so if you're not that good with a lot of spinning, do it a little bit, but don't make yourself sick. Basically what you're practicing here is feeling how much you need to push your hand against the hoop as it's turning to keep the hoop in the air while you're doing the Vortex. You can practice these with your heavy hoop or with your small hoop. Again, I'm assuming you hoop to the left. Switch these directions up if you go to the right. Get the hoop going above your head, and then with your left hand, try to stall it out on the palm of your hand while your hand is up above your right shoulder. A stall is when you're turning at the same speed as the hoop so that the hoop comes to a resting spot on your body. For this part of the exercise, you want that resting spot to be right on your hand, maybe about here or here. You'll notice that it's kind of hard to keep the hoop right there in that stall, so if your hand wants to move with the hoop, go ahead and let it. Now practice the stall around your waist. Take your right hand and catch the hoop when it's at the small of your back and try to turn so that the hoop stays there on your hand. You're going to want to pull your hand off of your body a little bit for this so that the hoop is actually resting on your hand and not your back. Again, you'll notice that your hand might want to drift to the front. That's fine, let it. In fact, see if you can't bring it across and drop it off on your waist a few times. Another thing you can practice is actually catching the hoop when it comes around in front with your left hand, pinky to pinky, fingers pointed down, and pulling it back around behind you, dropping it back on your right hand, thumb to thumb, and continuing like that. What you're feeling when you practice these stalls is the momentum of the hoop. All you need to do for the Vortex is guide that momentum up and down. A note about grip. I talked a lot about grip in the lifts tutorial and gave a demonstration on why you really don't need to grip the hoop at all. If you've been trying the Vortex and this is happening, it's because you're gripping the hoop too tightly. You're guiding the hoop, you're not forcing it, and gripping it throws the momentum off. Think of your fingers as a shelf for the hoop to rest on. I'm not gripping it at all, I'm just letting the hoop rest on my fingers, and it's free to move however it wants. Alright, so now the part you've been waiting for, the meat of the Vortex, what to actually do with your hands in order to make that pretty little spiral. You're going to start with a lift from the back, put your right hand in at the small of the back, bring it up and around, being careful to keep the arm in close to the body. When you get to the top, you're going to do your thumb and finger switch so that when you get your hoop up in the air, your fingers are pointed up. If you're confused as to what I'm talking about, I go into much more detail on this in my lift video. Once your hoop is up in the air, it's going to be on the palm of your hand. As it carries on in its spiral, the opening of the hoop is going to be pointed away from you. At this point, you want to bring your left hand up and place it on the hoop right next to the right hand. Pinky to pinky and your thumbs are facing out. It's kind of like you're doing this to your face. except you're not. You're now going to drop away your right hand. As the hoop continues to turn, it'll put your left hand in position above your right shoulder, and you'll just bring it down on that diagonal. If you remember from the lift video, I told you to practice that thumb to finger switch when you're bringing it back down as well, and then you would flick the hoop back onto your waist once your fingers are in the down position. To continue with the Vortex, you aren't going to do that flick. You're just going to hand it off to your right hand, thumb to thumb, pinkies facing out. As soon as your right hand catches the hoop, pull your left hand out, and now your right hand is back in position to continue with another backhand lift. A bit of troubleshooting for you. One thing I've noticed that a lot of beginners do is they add an extra revolution at the top of the Vortex, so it ends up looking not quite as smooth and more like this. What's happening here is that you're not doing the finger switch when you hit chest level, so that you bring your fingers back inside the hoop when you get up to the top. This results in your hand being on the outside of the hoop and having to do an extra turn on the thumb in order to bring it back inside. If you lift the hoop that way, it's totally fine. You can still do the Vortex. You'll just have to adjust where your hands are when you do the switch. If you're lifting the hoop this way and it feels comfortable to you, you can't quite get the hang of the finger switch, and you don't really want to change, here's how to do the Vortex anyway. Go ahead and bring up the hoop the way you've been bringing it up. When you get to the top, you'll notice that the back of your hand is facing you and that the hoop is pointed out away from you. At this point, instead of making that extra revolution, go ahead and stick your left hand in so that it's pinky to thumb and carry on with your bring down. And that's it. No more extra revolution. I find doing it this way a little bit more awkward, but that's just because I don't practice it that way, so my hands aren't used to the motion as much. In truth, when I'm doing the Vortex full speed, I actually end up doing a combination of the first way I showed you and the second way I showed you, and I rest the hoop in between my pointer and second fingers. Do it the way it feels comfortable for you. One last thing before I leave you, how to make it pretty. When you first start doing the Vortex, it's going to be a big enough accomplishment just to get the hoop up in the air and down and back without it getting all cattywampus and falling all over the place. Now you know I'm from Texas because I said cattywampus. So what happens is you're not fully extending your arms. You're just kind of bringing the hoop up and down in whatever way gets it going. Well, when that starts to feel comfortable, I encourage you to practice fully extending your elbows, both when you bring it up and when you bring it down. This makes the move look more expansive, more graceful, and overall a little bit more impressive. So there you have it. Way too much information on the Vortex. I tried to put in everything I could think of to make this easier for you, but if there's still something you're confused about, leave a comment. As always, if there's something you're having a specific problem with and you'd like me to address you directly, you can film yourself doing the move and message it to me, since they're getting rid of video responses on the 12th, and I will make you your very own personalized tutorial, which you can learn from and hopefully everybody else can learn from as well. Again, my name is Jess. I have an Etsy store where I sell beginner hoops that have fun themes like My Little Pony, Firefly, and Doctor Who if you're a big nerd like I am. And if you've been finding my tutorials helpful, I really would appreciate it if you would check out my Patreon site. There's a link in the description. It's basically just a nice way to say thank you. You can donate as little as $1 per tutorial I make. You can cap it so that if I decide to go crazy and make a tutorial every day, you don't end up paying $1 billion. Anyway, I really appreciate everyone that's watched these tutorials so far and all the feedback. It motivates me to want to keep making them and to keep hooping, actually. So thank you for that. I'll see you next time when I will probably be doing chest hooping unless I change my mind. Bye! See, they fall off.